Hi everybody. So I was just thinking about this morning. As I was praying through things, I just thought, a lot of us have got a lot of baggage that we deal with. By baggage, I mean three things: unmet needs, unhealed hurts, and unresolved issues. Unmet needs are things that you need to be getting that you don't get, like love, healthy touch, words of affirmation, etc. Unhealed hurts are things that you shouldn't have got, but you did. So abuse or word curses or things like people have spoken of you, you're stupid or you're ugly, or things like that. And then unresolved issues are a result of why is this happening to me? I don't understand. Now, here's what happens. If we don't deal with those unmet needs, unhealed hurts, and unresolved issues, we bring them into every relationship that we have because they're part of us. They are baggage. So every unmet need that you have that you've never dealt with will always be brought into your current scenario. So just say you were abused as a child, okay? At 8 years of age, something happened to you that was quite traumatic and you never actually dealt with that. So however you dealt with that emotionally at that time will infiltrate into your present time. So even when you're 30, if you are exposed to something that's very similar and it elicits some kind of emotional reaction, you will react in exactly the same way as you did when you were 8. So that's what happens, is that some of our areas in our lives are emotionally stunted in growth. So we might be able to respond quite maturely and emotionally healthy in some areas, but in other areas we're like, I wonder why I respond like that in that area. And so anger is always a result of an unresolved issue. So when a person gets angry, has got a problem with anger, it will always be a result of an unresolved issue. Something that could be current, that they haven't resolved properly, or it could be something from the past that they've left unresolved and it manifests itself as anger. So sometimes, if I encourage young people or anybody who's going to enter a relationship and wanting to get married to try and deal with the unmet needs, unhealed hurts, and unresolved issues as much as possible. Because the more of those issues that you can deal with and clear out of your life, the easier it's going to be when you get together. Because often what happens is that both of you will bring your unmet needs, unhealed hurts, unresolved issues into the relationship, and then you've got to deal with those. While you're trying to sort your own stuff out, you've then got to try and deal with your partner's unmet needs, unhealed hurts, and unresolved issues. And so sometimes what happens is that our marriage becomes harder than it actually should be because we haven't dealt with as much. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to deal with everything before you get married, and it's part of the process that you'll be dealing with those things on an ongoing basis as long as we live. But what we want to try and do is focus on the major issues. So, for instance, if your father abandoned you when you were a young child, you will struggle with, and if you've never dealt with that, it becomes an unresolved issue, and then you'll carry that over into your marriage, and then you'll project those feelings of fear, of being abandoned, of being rejected, of being hurt onto other people, your spouse. You'll become too controlling, you'll become jealous, you'll resist completely and be closed off and closed emotionally, distant, so you won't give of yourself too much. Rejection produces a fear of connection, so a fear of intimacy and closeness. So what happens is that as you get close to the person, when it starts to become feeling too vulnerable or fear that something's going to happen, you may close off. And then so you have this back and forth of being close to the person and then withdrawing, close and withdraw. And then your partner doesn't always understand what's going on, and they think like, oh, what is wrong with this person? And so my encouragement for you today is that we've spoken if you've watched any of the other ones, we've spoken about moving yourself, your marriage, your relationship, your life in general, from good to great. If you're making that your goal for this year, that you want to move your life, your relationship, your everything in your life, you want to move it from good to great, focus on dealing with any unmet needs, unhealed hurts, and unresolved issues. Find out what those are. If it's a fear of rejection, if it's fear of being abandoned, if it's anger, if it's insecurity, a low self-esteem, inferiority, If there are addictive behaviors, if you're struggling with alcohol or any kind of pornography addiction or any kind of addiction, eating, maybe you have a problem with eating disorder, maybe there's self-injury involved. There's a whole lot of things, depression, anxiety, fear, all of those things could be are a result of unmet needs, unhealed hurts, and unresolved issues. So let me encourage you. God can heal those things. God can set you free. God can break those things over your life. Find someone you can speak to. Find someone that will be able to help you identify what those unmet needs, unhealed hurts, and unresolved issues are. And let me close with this. Often what happens when we go into counseling is that people will focus on those issues. They'll focus on the inferiority. They'll focus on the rejection. They'll focus on fears and pain and whatever it is. They'll focus on those. But often what happens is, and they might even focus on your addictive behavior or your eating patterns. And so often what happens is, say a person comes to you and says, I struggle with fear. Then what they'll do is they'll talk to you about fear, how to deal with the fear, when did it start, how you can cope with it, what the Bible says about fear. But often what happens is it's like fruit on a tree. The fear is like the fruit. Now what happens when you cut the fruit off? It grows back. Even if you chop the tree down, it'll grow back. How do you destroy a tree or destroy the fruit on the tree? Is you get to the root. Kill the root and you'll kill the fruit. Now here's what we need to do. Is we need to focus on what the root cause is of your fear and your pain or whatever the issue is in your life, because that's what you want to identify. Because it's no good only focusing on the fear if you're not going to deal with the root. What is the root cause? Where did that fear originate? And that's the roots, the unmet needs, unhealed hurts, and unresolved issues. So there you go. I hope that's been helpful. Thank you for watching, and share this, like it, press like so I can see how many people are actually watching. Comment if you like, if you don't like it or whatever, that's also fine. Share it with as many people as you can. And remember, we're wanting to move from good to great. See you again.